Hello, Namaskar, dear students. My name is Professor Chirag Chothani, and I am here to present the RTP discussion for November 2022 examination for this subject called as Economics for Finance. So, on behalf of JK Shah classes, I welcome you all, and now we are going to discuss the RTP. Now, friends, though I am recording this video and giving it to you for November 2022, but this video will also be helpful for the students who are going to give their examination in May 2023. Our sole objective is to tell you what we need to exactly write in our examination so that out of this 40 marks, we are in a position to get maximum marks. As you must be already aware, there are three types of questions which you can expect in the examination. Number 1 will be 2-mark question. Number 2, 3 marks question. And number 3 will be 5 marks question. The total weightage of Economics for Finance section is going to be 52 marks. Out of this, you have to select any 4 questions 10 marks each, which will get you 40 marks. Now my dear friends, question number 1 in that segment will be compulsory. Out of question number 2, 3, 4 and 5, you need to choose any 3 questions that you are going to write nicely. So, without wasting any time, let us quickly begin with the discussion part. But before we start, remember 2-mark question, 3-mark question, 5-mark question. So, our strategy should be accordingly. Please don't invest your time in MCQs because that is not going to be fruitful. Don't write too much of lengthy answers. We will keep it very short, crisp and precise to the point. For 2 marks question, you are expected to write around 6 points. Per point will be around 3 to 4 lines. For 3 marks question, you are expected to write around 7 to 8 points. Again, every point will be around 3 to 4 lines. 5-mark question, in general, it is not a theoretical question. It is going to be a numerical question. So, in numerical question, if you solve it nicely, you are going to get the entire 5 marks. For 2 marks as well as for 3 marks, you are going to have numerical as well as conceptual. But more emphasis will be on the conceptual rather than numerical. Overall, if I say around 10 marks you can expect in numerical segment, 30 marks you can expect based on our conceptual knowledge. So, let's begin with this amazing discussion of CA Inter RTP November 22 published by the ICAI. CA Inter RTP 2022 November. Alright, perfect. So, this is your RTP, students. I am sure you must have downloaded that from the ICAI website. Now, section B in our paper number 8, it is Economics for Finance, which is for 40 marks. Now, in this case, what you have to do, please write down the chapter name also, or the number at least, so that whenever you are revising, you need to know where it has been asked from, or what type of questions are asked from what type of chapters. Now, first one, if you see, what is the value added method in the national income accounting? This is our chapter number 1, right? In a 3-sector model, does government play any role? 3-sector model is again chapter number 1. Calculate national product or net national product at market price. Again, this is part of chapter number 1. So, these are the 3 questions. Let's suppose question number 1A for around 2 marks, question number 1B for 3 marks and question number 1C will be roughly around 5 marks. So, this is how this will be 10-mark question and this will be a compulsory question. So, you need to know these 3 questions. Now, question number 2A, B and C again. Now, 2A, what are the challenges in compilation of national income accounting? This will be chapter number 1. Government intervention always result in correcting market failure, chapter number 2. Calculate narrow money, this is part of chapter number 3. And what is average propensity to save, again this will be chapter number 1. So question number 1 and question number 2 you must have seen, it is mainly dominated by chapter number 1. Again, this will be, let's suppose for question number 2 part A will be worth 2 marks. Question number 2 part B will be around 3 marks, though they have not mentioned here questions or they have not mentioned you the marks. But depending upon my past experience, I can tell you the marking system because I have seen many papers in the past. Question number 2C first part will be around 2 marks, and question number 2C second part, where you are asked to calculate average propensity to save, this will be around 3 marks. Now, question number 3A, what do you understand by arbitrage? This is our chapter number 4. In Forex, we have understood arbitrage. What are the factors that causes leakages in the multiplier? Multiplier is part of chapter number 1. Then how changes in high powered money and currency ratio influence the money supply in an economy. This is part of chapter number 3, that is monetary policy or money market. What type of policy is preferable during the time of recession? Now this can be a combination of chapter number 2 and chapter number 3, because you need to write here fiscal policy as well as the monetary policy. But in short, if you don't know what is fiscal policy, monetary policy in detail, or you not mention here, so again this can be part of chapter number 1 also, that is stabilization function. These two concepts from chapter number 2 and chapter number 3 will be taken care of. Then it will be distinguished between Cambridge and classical version of quantity theory of money. Money means chapter number 3. What is the meaning of, what is meant by crowding out? This is chapter number 2. Then it will be appreciation and depreciation, again chapter number 4. How do trade policy influence? This will be chapter number 4. Then if I talk about marking scheme in question number 4, A, B, C, D, A will be 2 marks, B will be 3 marks, again C will be 2 marks, and lastly let's say D will be 3 marks. Then what are the characteristics of private goods? Private goods characteristics, students, that will be chapter number 2. Then domestic industries and consumers are affected by import quota. This will be our chapter number 4. Then what determines the size of money multiplier? Money multiplier is chapter number 1. And it can be also chapter number 3, because in chapter number 1 we have understood investment multiplier, which acts as a seed for understanding money multiplier, which is there in chapter number 3. So I will include both. In the international trade theory, what is meant by factor endowment? This is part of chapter number 4. And define narrow money, this will be part of chapter number 3. Coincidentally, narrow money, they have asked both the parts. First one, they have asked about the calculation of narrow money, and then they have asked the theoretical knowledge of narrow money. So if you understand narrow money, I think you should be in a position to answer these two questions. Now if you observe, question number 5 is asked for 12 marks. However, you have to attempt only 10 marks, because question number 5D, in the theory of international market, what is meant by factor endowment, this is worth 2 marks, but in that 2 mark sub question also you have a sub option, right? So you have to select either 5D part 1 or you have to select the narrow money. So any one you have to write. So now depending upon the chapters that you are thorough with, right, if you know these chapters very nicely, you can select which one you are going to attempt. If I would be in your position, what would I do? I'll tell you that also. I will definitely not leave question number 2, because there is easy 5 marks which I am getting by doing the calculation part. After that, the choice is between question number 3, question number 4 and question number 5. I have to select any two. So it doesn't actually matter which one you select. If you have prepared very well chapter number 4, let's suppose, then I think you should be going for you should be going for question number 4. If you have prepared your, let's suppose, chapter number 2 very nicely, then you should be going for question number I think question number 3 or 5 will be equivalent. If you have prepared very nicely third chapter, then I think you should be going for question number 3, and then you should be going with question number 4, right? So it depends upon which chapter you are confident about more. Accordingly you will have to select, but definitely it is not giving us a rational choice to make. Speaking it very frankly, it doesn't directly mention that you can select this chapter over the other chapters and the things will be taken care of. Not at all, right? So we have to give equivalent importance to all the chapters which are there in our syllabus. Now students, coming on to question number 1, if you observe, what is the value added method in national income accounting? Now students, when I talk about national income, see this very carefully. First of all, what should be the format? Right? You have to define what is the meaning of national income. I am sure you know that, right? National income is nothing but the aggregate or the sum total of all the goods and services produced in an economy in a year plus the net factor income from abroad. Now, if we talk about national income, a small definition or meaning in your own words can do. After that, you have to mention what are the types. So, there are three types that we have of calculating national income. What are the three types, students? First one is expenditure method, then it is value added method, and last one, students, it will be income method. Now, I am very sure that these are the three methods that you know already. However, in our question, what they are focusing on, so it is nothing but value added method. So value added method you will have to explain in detail. So what is value added method? In value added method, first of all we calculate GDP. So GDP, it market price, is nothing but GVA, or it is summation of GVA. Summation of GVA means it is summation of gross value added. Now how do we derive gross value added? So there are three sectors, students. First one is primary sector, then it is secondary sector, and lastly it is tertiary sector. So whatever is the value added in primary sector plus value added in secondary sector plus the value added in tertiary sector, if you are going ahead and adding the value of all these three sectors together, that is how we get value added method GVA. However, in the question, if you observe carefully, it is not only about GVA, they are asking about national income accounting. So what you need to do next? So the national income or the net national product at factor cost will be nothing but GVA plus NFIA, that is net factor income from abroad, minus IT plus S, which is nothing but net indirect taxes, minus depreciation. So if we are in a position to do this, then we will be getting our national income accountancy or national income final amount. Now my dear friends, in this segment I have told you how to frame your answers, right? Some guidelines are given by the ICI also, but I again tell you, this is not a detailed guideline. This is just they are giving you an indication what are the things that are to be included. So you have to be extra cautious. We are not here to do copy paste work, right? We are intellectual people. So we can't just take this answer and write it as it is in our examination. That will not fetch us marks, because they are asking you something in detail and then they are giving you a guideline that this is what we are expecting from you. So let's see how they have placed their answer. So in the answer, if you observe, which is given by the ICAI, the value added method, they are directly explaining value added method without explaining the national income. But in our examination, when we are attempting this kind of question, the first thing is what they have asked for: national income accounting. So we have to mention the meaning of national income. So value added method measures the contribution of each producing enterprise in the domestic territory of the country in an accounting year and entails consolidation of the production each industry. Each industry means it is nothing but the primary, secondary and tertiary sector industry, whatever earnings we are getting, minus the intermediate consumption, that is nothing but the purchases for all the industries. This will get us the value of all the three sectors, the final value, and this is how we get GVA. And then we have to consider the rest of the formula, that is NFIA, IT plus S and minus depreciation. After that, students, the value of the following items are also to be included in this. These are additional items. What are they? First one, it is nothing but own account production of fixed assets by government, enterprise and household. Imputed value of production of goods, that is nothing but self consumption. Imputed rent, as well as change in stock, which is nothing but inventory, right? So change in inventory is also to be considered in value added method. So these are the additional things which are to be considered. And now let's go ahead to the next part, that is nothing but question number 1B. In a three sector model, what does the role of the government play? Now what is the role of government in three sector? Guys, do you remember what is three sector? So whenever we are calculating GDP, it is nothing but C plus I plus G plus X minus M, right? So when I am talking about GDP, my dear friends, see this. When I am talking about GDP, when I talk about three sector, now three sector can be C plus I plus G, right? C means who? It is consumption expenditure, which will be done by the household. Then I stands for investment expenditure, which will be done by the firms. And G stands for government expenditure, which of course will be done by the government. Now, when we talk about government, what is government's role? Now, if let's suppose there are only capitalists in the market, right, that is only investment expenditure is done, there are only firms in the market, will they be thinking about welfare of the economy? The answer is no. They will be only concerned about the profits. Now, excessive profit orientation will result into recession and ultimately depression. That's why government is very much necessary. So whenever there is any kind of depression warning which is an alarm for the entire economy, government will become active. And government, with the help of their tools, which is nothing but fiscal policy, will try to rationalize the market prices and will put a control on the firms which are trying to exploit the people, that is the consumers. So government is very important, as well as, or not only at the time of excessive profit government will intervene, but also at the time of let's suppose there is recession in the economy, all right, things are not going good. So what government can do? Government can spend money in order to increase the level of expenditure from consumers angle, as well as government can support the investors to help them leap or grow up or take their business to the next level when they need money. So at the time of recession, even government can help the investment expenditure. So now let's have a look at the answer, students. The three sector Keynesian model is commonly constructed assuming that the government purchases are autonomous, that is, they are not done with the aim of earning profit, right? Even if they are not getting anything in return, still government will spend money. The equilibrium national income is determined a point where both the aggregate demand and aggregate supply are equal. That is, AD will be equal to AS, and that will be equal to our national income. So AD is aggregate demand, Y is nothing but income, and aggregate supply will be AS. So C plus I plus G, which we have in our thing here, C plus I plus G will be our equivalent to GDP, and if it is only three sector with no other things involved, then it will be our equal to national income also. So that will be equal to national income, which will be again equal to, see this, C plus S plus T. What is C? So it is nothing but consumption expenditure. S is nothing but savings, because investment will result into savings, and finally government collects the money from taxes. So it will be equal to C plus S plus T. Now, the autonomous expenditure components, namely investment, government spending, do not directly depend on the income and are exogenous variables determined by the factors outside the model. The government influences the level of income through taxes, transfer payments, government purchases, and government borrowings. So in short, whenever there is downfall or there is excessive inflation, government will play a very important role and will intervene in order to stabilize the economy. So that's our answer for question number 1B, how government would be playing an important role for three sector. Now let's go ahead to a 5-mark question, students. You are asked to calculate net national product at market price. Alright, so NNP formula, you are aware about it, right? What is the formula for NNP at market price? Let's have a look at it. It is nothing but NNP market price is equal to C plus I plus G plus X minus M minus IT plus S. वापस 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 So let's have a look at the formula of NNP at market price. It is nothing but C plus I plus G plus X minus M, which is normal. Now see this, it is market price. So minus IT plus S will not come. It is net as well as national. So national means plus NFIA and net means minus depreciation. So if you have this data, directly you can find out the answer, no problem at all. Let's have a look at the question that they have given here. The question, if you see, compensation in employees. Wait, hold on. Compensation to employees, isn't it part of income method? But NNP at market price, this particular formula belongs to expenditure method, right? Okay, let us have a look at the other details which are given. Profit, rent, mixed income, NFIA, interest, import, export, consumption of fixed capital, net indirect taxes, net transfer to abroad. Well, I don't see C plus I plus G plus X minus M. X minus M is there, but other things are not given. But if you observe friends, the data which are required to calculate national income, it is given, but by using income method. See, we have discussed this in the class very clearly. Whenever income method details are given, we will first thing we will calculate is nothing but national income using income method. So what is our national income formula if you recollect? So national income, that is nothing but net national income, will be rent plus wages plus interest plus profit plus NFIA plus mixed income. So this becomes our formula for net national income. Yes or no? Yes, sir. Let's have a look at the amount which is given here. So compensation to employees, that is wages, what we need to do? Add. Profit, what we need to do? Add. Rent, what we need to do? Add. Mixed income of self-employed, add. Net factor in derived from abroad, NFIA, this has to be added. Interest has to be added. Import export consumption of fixed capital, which is nothing but depreciation, net indirect taxes, and net current transfer to abroad. My dear friends, net current transfer to abroad we have to ignore. Why, sir, we have to ignore? Isn't it receipts minus payments? Well, whenever you are getting net factor income from abroad, this itself means it is R minus P. So if you again consider net current transfer to abroad and consider this as payment which is going outside, then it will be double counting. So right now we have to ignore this. So just by doing this much, you will be getting your answer. Right, so this is as per the formula that we have here. We are adding rent plus wages plus interest plus profit plus NFIA plus mixed income. Let me just have a quick calculation. It will be 800 plus 300 plus 200 plus 600 plus 25 plus 60. The answer would be, students, 1985. I repeat, the answer would be 1985. So NNI, that is net national income, is nothing but 1985. Very clear in this? But in your examination, they have not asked you to calculate NNI. They are asking you to calculate NNP at market price. Now, how to calculate NNP at market price? See, students, NNI is nothing but our NNP at factor cost. Do you agree to this? Yes, sir, absolutely. This is the formula that we have for net national income. That is nothing but NNP at FC. Now, what is NNP-FC? If let's suppose I have NNP-MP with me, let's say, so that will be, sir, NNP-MP market price minus IT plus S. I will be getting my NNP-FC. Do you agree to this? Now, in this question, have a look at it. NNP-FC, we have already calculated 1985. Yeah, 1985 we have already calculated. We are now calculating or trying to find out what is NNP-MP, which we don't have in the question actually. So NNP-MP we are yet to calculate. Do we have the next part which we require as indirect taxes and subsidies, students? Yes, sir, we are having indirect taxes and subsidies in the question given. Let's have a look at where. Okay, so we have here net indirect taxes. Net indirect taxes is nothing but indirect taxes plus subsidies, which is given here as 20, right? So let's have a look at it. What we are going to do here, it will be minus 20. So now, my dear friends, how do we calculate NNP-MP? So NNP-MP will be 1985. This will go at that side, so it will be plus. So it becomes our 20. 1985 plus 20 will be 2005. I hope you are very clear in this. So this will be in 1000 crores. In 1000 crores. So we will have to mention that it is 2005 1000 crores. So this becomes our final answer for NNP-MP. I hope, students, you are very clear. This is how we have to solve it. Whenever they have given the details related to income method, first calculate net national income using income method and then come on to NNP-MP. Right? Now let's go ahead to the next part, which is nothing but question number 2. So question number 2, what are the challenges in compilation of national income accounting? See, national income accounting or calculating national income, we are very well aware. It is very simple. We are having 3 methods to do that. First one is expenditure, then it is value added method, and lastly it will be income method. We are aware about it. No problem at all. But now when we talk about these 3 methods, there are some challenges that we have to face. What are the challenges or difficulties that we face that we need to discuss one by one? Okay, this is a very small question worth 2 marks. Let's have a look at the solution which is given by ICAI. The challenges in compiling national income accounting. This is straight copy paste answer from our module. The same answer is also present in our JKSC material. Challenges in compiling in national income, it is as under. First one, production for self-consumption is a very big challenge. Why? Because whatever self-consumption is done by the producer, they do not disclose it to the government. This is the thing that we have used for ourselves. They just tend to avoid. So there is production which is happening, but it is not being recorded in the market. So we do not get the precise amount of national income. That's why it becomes a challenge in calculating national income. Point number 2. Absence of recording of income due to illiteracy and ignorance. Now you go to some villages. There are farmers which are very wealthy. I am not saying all the farmers are wealthy, but there are some of them which are very wealthy. They own a Toyota Fortuner. They roam around their village the entire day. Their income might be in lakhs and crores of rupees possibly, which we are very happy about. Farmers should earn money. That is not a problem. However, when you inquire with them, sir, do you have your income tax filing done? Though you are not eligible to pay taxes, but however, just out of curiosity, you ask them. And then they will raise the question, why government should know my income? What government has got to do with, my income? Why should I go and disclose? No, it's none of government's business. So, when we are talking about, people who are earning money, but they do not disclose the amount, either it can be because they are illiterate or because they are ignorant towards the system. That why should you know, right? So it can be illiteracy and ignorance. Then there is lack of proper occupational classification. What happens? People nowadays earn money from multiple sources. See, things are not like it was, it was before some years maybe. Now people are very competitive, especially with the evolving social media. People know that in order to remain in the market and be top, you have to do multiple tasking. You have to work efficiently. So in order to work efficiently, they acquire multiple skills and they are doing multiple tasks also. So you as a chartered accountant, let's suppose you are working in a particular organization, okay, and at the same time you have your small startup also. After that you have saved some money, and that saved money you have kept in FD. So now listen to this very carefully. You are getting your income through your job, right? So that will be your wages or salary. You are getting your income from business, so that will be profit. You are getting your income from savings also, so that will be your interest income. Now whether government should consider you as an entrepreneur, as an employee, or as a capital investor. So there is no proper classification of occupation here, and this happens in many cases in the country. So that's a problem. Next, accurate estimation of consumption of fixed capital. Estimation of consumption of fixed capital. See, consumption of fixed capital is nothing but depreciation. Can you tell me what will be the exact amount of depreciation? Exactly. Not possible, right? So we cannot have a clear-cut classification that this is the definition of depreciation and according to this definition, this should be the only calculation which we are doing. Well, absolutely not. Now, let's suppose if I am having a laptop right now, of this laptop, how much to be depreciated? Well, if I depreciated it to 2 years and if I run for 3 years, that means in my books of accounts that the depreciation which I took for this particular laptop for 2 years was incorrect, which means my national income also was incorrect. So you cannot say how much depreciation amount is going to be taken into consideration. Then E point, I am very sure every one of you agrees. Inadequacy of data and lack of reliability of available data. We do not have the correct data available. And last one, it is the presence of non-monetized sector. So according to GDP, we consider only the monetary transaction, but there are many non-monetary transactions which also take place, which are not recorded in the national income. That becomes our limitation. So these are the challenges of national income accounting. It can be asked for 2 marks, and this is the content that we are going to write. Now let's go ahead to the next part. Question number 2b. Does government intervention always result in correcting market failure? See, what is market failure? Market failure is inefficiency in allocation of resources. So whenever there is inefficiency in allocation of resources, it will result into market failure. However, to correct those market failure, only capitalists or the firms will not have the right courage to leave their profits and get the market stable. So government intervention comes into the picture, and government is given the responsibility to make the market stable. Now, all said and done, government must intervene in order to stabilize the market. However, the question here is, look at the question very carefully. Will government always be successful in stabilizing the market? Is a big question mark here. Now that's subjective. Sometimes it might work, sometimes it might not work. So your answer here has to be diplomatic. You cannot take side. Let's understand how to be diplomatic here. See this. We cannot be sure whether the government intervention would be effective or whether it would make the functioning of the economy less efficient. Because many a times even government companies are the part and parcel which results into market failure. So reason of market failure also can be government entities. So how can you say whether government intervention is there, it will reduce the market failure? It might subside, yes, but it might also be the reason of market failure. Both the possibilities are there and we cannot evade that possibility. Right? So in this case, my dear friends, we cannot be sure whether the government intervention would be effective or whether it would make the functioning of the economy less efficient. Government failures, where government intervention in the economy to correct market failure creates inefficiency and leads to misallocation of resources, occur very often. Many a times you have seen that government companies itself are the reasons for the market failure. Now, government failure occurs when intervention is ineffective because of the wastage of resources, and intervention produces fresh and more serious problems in the market. There are cost and benefits which are involved along with government intervention, which who has to bear? Who has to bear the cost? So answer is correct, it is you and me. We the citizens of this country have to pay to the government in the form of taxes, and if it is going on not towards the growth but just to reduce the failure, again itself that amount is going into failure. Right? So government intervention in the market, and it is important that the policy makers consider all the cost and benefits of a policy intervention. I hope students you are very clear in this part. A very small answer, question worth 3 marks. Of course, they have highlighted here how it will be less efficient, but I would recommend please write one more paragraph additionally, or here write 2 to 3 points extra how government can be effective and achieve efficiency also. Now, how government can be efficient? Government can be efficient by intervening for one thing, that is market power. So, how will government do that? By reduce the market power, by liberalizing the market, by going for nationalization, by implementing new policies. Any one point you can write. Government can control market failure through entering into externalities. So, wherever there is positive externality, government must support them. Whenever there is negative externality, government will try to curtail them. Whenever there is incomplete information, government will intervene and try to provide the right information. So these are nothing but the indicative points which you can add to this answer to make it very concrete, and you will be getting full 3 marks. Let's go ahead to the next question, students. Question number 2C. You are asked to calculate narrow money from the following data, and what will be the average propensity to save when they have given the data. Alright. Do you understand, students, what is narrow money? Narrow money is nothing but M1. Right? Do you remember the formula for M1, students? It is currency with the public, plus it will be our demand deposit with the banks, plus other deposits with the RBI. Done. Only three things are there in M1. Right? We have studied this M1, M2, M3, M4, then NM1, NM2 and NM3, and lastly there are liquidity aggregates which is L1, L2 and L3. So in this scenario they have kept it very easy, 2-mark question. You are asked to calculate only one thing, and that is M1, narrow money. That is it, nothing else. So in narrow money our formula would be currency with the public plus demand deposit with the banks plus other deposits with the RBI. Do we have that data in front of us? Yes. So currency with the public will be added, demand deposit with the banking system will be added, other deposits with the RBI will be added, time deposit with the banking system. Hold on, this is not part of M1, this is part of M3. Saving deposits of post office savings bank, this is not part of M1, this is part of M2. So if they have asked us to calculate only M1, then these are the three things that we are going to add, and we will be getting our answer, which will be, I think, given here. So yeah, it will be 7,10,000 crore rupees. Right? So this is how you have to find out the answer. These three things: currency with the public, demand deposit with banking system, and other deposits with RBI. Let's have a look at the second part of this particular question. You are asked to calculate average propensity to save. That is APS, right? APS. What is the formula for APS? It is nothing but saving upon income. Simple. Savings upon income. Now in this case they have given you the consumption. Consumption is 500 and income is 2000. Alright. So what is savings? Saving is nothing but Y minus C. So that will be 2000 minus 500. Saving will be 1500. So it will be 1500 divided by income is 2000. So 1500 divided by 2000, answer will be 0.75. This becomes our APS. And 650 directly savings is given here, so no need to calculate anything. So APS will be S upon Y. So that will be 650 divided by income that they have given. It is nothing but 1500. So 650 divided by 1500 will be 0.43. So the answer that we are getting here, it will be 0.75 will be our APS, 0.75, and lastly it will be 0.43. 33333. It is continuous, so we can keep it very simple up to 2 decimal points, no problem at all. So this is how you need to calculate the answer, students. This will fetch you 3 marks. Isn't it very easy? Imagine if this kind of questions come in your examination, you can get full marks in this type, right? Let's go ahead. Question number 3, part A. Now this is the first time we are solving the first question for chapter number 4. Before this we have been solving around chapter number 1, 2 and 3, majorly chapter number 1 if I want to be very honest with you. So the first question, what do you understand by the terminology arbitrage? Now arbitrage is an opportunity, actually it's a profit making opportunity, right, where you are getting two markets. Okay, one market the same product is offered at a lower price, the another market the product is offered at a higher price. Now a rational consumer what would do? They will go and select the product where it is available at a cheaper price. They will go and they will buy it from there, right? That's a consumer mentality. However, you are a chartered accountant. You see a profit making opportunity here. What would you do here? You will buy it from a place where it is offered at a lower price, and you will take that product to the higher price market and there you will sell it. So buying at a lower price from one market and selling it to another market at a higher price is nothing but arbitrage opportunity that you have gained, right? So simple arbitrage. Let's have a look at the answer. Arbitrage refers to the practice of making riskless profits by intelligently exploiting price differences of an asset at different dealing locations. So there is a potential arbitrage in forex market if exchange rate are not consistent between the currencies. When price difference occurs in the different markets, the participants purchase foreign exchange in a low price market and then they resell in the high price market and then they make profit. And one more thing, students, as a chartered accountant, you know this, that there is an arbitrage opportunity. The people who have this as profession, they are often termed as arbitragers, right? And many investment banking firms do have arbitrators who make profit for them. So due to this operation mechanism, the price is driven up by the low price market and pushed down by the high price market. See, this kind of advantage is not going to be there forever. right? Because if you see there is an opportunity, there are other people who will also look at the opportunity, right? So what happens? There is a price where is low and there is a market where the price is high. So when you start buying from here, that means the demand will rise. So the price here will start coming up, right? And when there is high price market, you start selling there. So the price will come down because the supply has increased. Ultimately, this opportunity will be closed down. And many a times, this doesn't take days or months to happen. This takes fractions of seconds. So you have to be very quick in making arbitrage. That's why it becomes a huge concept. Or else it is just a profit, right? Right? Buying from a wholesale market, selling to a retail market. Now, this is not arbitrage opportunity. Come on, that is business. But when you are looking at two different markets altogether at global level, buying from a low price market, selling at a high price market, and that takes merely a second and you do that becomes arbitrage. So this activity will continue until the price of the two markets are equalized or until they differ only by the amount of transaction cost. Since forex market are efficient, any profit spread or given currency is quickly arbitraged away. So these opportunities do not live for longer period of time. This is very quick. It happens instantly. If you are at the right time, at the right place, you take that opportunity, make money out of it and leave it. Alright. So that's arbitrage for all of us. Let's go ahead, students, to the next part, and that is nothing but question number 3b. What are the factors that cause leakages in the multiplier? Okay. So now here there are two things. First, you need to understand what is multiplier, and then you need to understand what is leakages. See, multiplier is nothing but the money making process which is happening, right? So when we talk about investment, when we talk about money multiplier, the money that goes into rotation, and money supply goes on increasing, that is called as multiplier. Now when we talk about multiplier, there are some injections which take place and there are some leakages which happen. What do you mean by injection? Money coming from outside in the economy which increases the level of money supply is called as injection. Leakages, there are people who take out the money from this rotation and keep it aside. It is called as leakages. So here the question is about leakage. So when is leakage going to happen? Have a look at it. Multiplier refers to phenomenon where a change in injection of expenditure will lead to a proportionately larger change in the equilibrium level of income. So that means it is the investment which is done or the expenditure which is done which results into more of income. The investment multiplier explains how many times the equilibrium aggregate income increases as a result of increase in the autonomous investment. So it is nothing but K is equal to delta Y upon delta I. So change in investment resulting into change in income. But this investment change, if it has to happen to increase the level of national income, the multiplier has to work in an efficient manner. But there are at times, where you can see there are some leakages which happen. So what are the leakages? So first one, progressive rate of taxes. If, with the increase in income, if the taxes are going on increasing, okay, then you have to pay more towards taxes. So at that time it will be discouragement and you will save for the future. You will not invest in the business or you will not be spending. So it will result no appreciable increase in the consumption despite there is increase in income. Because even if the income is increased, government will take away most of it and you are left with little only that you will keep for yourself and you will not put it in the market. So it has no effect on the national income whatsoever. High liquidity preference. If people keep money at home, ideally, then it will be leakage. Then it can be increased demand for consumer goods. Then it will be additional income which is spent on purchasing existing wealth or purchase of government securities. So if you are investing in government bond securities, that is again a leakage. Undistributed profits of the corporations. If the money is not distributed as dividend to the shareholders or the stakeholders, then the money remains in the organization itself, which again is a leakage. Part of increment in the income which is used to payment of the debt. So if you are repaying the debt, it is not going in the market as expenditure. Again, it will be leakage. Case of full employment, additional investment will only lead to inflation. And lastly, students, scarcity of goods and services despite having the high marginal propensity to consume, which will just increase the level of prices, having no impact on the multiplier whatsoever, right? So this is our multiplier effect, which is getting affected by the Leakages. Question number 3, part C. How changes in high powered money and currency ratio influence the money supply in an economy? See now students, when we talk about changes in money supply, there are three behaviors which are going to affect: behavior of central bank, behavior of commercial bank, and behavior of public. So when we talk about behavior of central bank has the power of high powered money, that is nothing but the money which is printed by the RBI, and next one is nothing but currency ratio. Currency ratio is nothing but how much people are willing to hold currency, that is liquid cash, as compared to deposits in the market, right? So first of all, you will have to explain money supply in the economy, then you will have to explain high powered money and currency ratio in short, and then explain its effect. Answer will be complete. Let's have a look at it. The excess reserve ratio, which are at the which are funds that a bank keeps beyond what is required by the regulation, form a very important determinant of money supply. That is fine. The additional units of high powered money, now see, this is important, high powered money that goes into excess reserve. That means RBI has printed the currency, but that money goes into excess reserve. That means the commercial bank are not distributing that amount in the market, but they are keeping with themselves as reserve. So at that time, commercial banks do not lead any additional loan, and therefore these excess reserve ratios do not lead to money creation. That means no impact on money supply. See, it's very simple. RBI is giving money, and if you give that money to the general public as loans, that means there will be increase in the money supply. But if the commercial bank behavior changes, so there is high powered money which is coming, RBI is printing, trying to circulate in the market, but at that time the commercial banks are holding that back due to uncertainties in the market. Possibly they are not distributing that as the loan. So what will happen? There is going to be no impact in the money supply. Then therefore, if the bank injects money into the banking system, and if they are held in excess reserves by the banking system, there will be no effect on the deposits or the currency, hence no effect on the money supply. Of course, this is incomplete answer. As I have told you, this is just an indicator how you have to write your answer, but this is incomplete because see, in this question, if you carefully observe, they have just mentioned about the high powered money. They have not mentioned the currency ratio. So currency ratio is nothing but the currency to deposit ratio. If people have higher level of currency, if people hold more of currency in the market, what will happen? People are holding money, so money supply will fall because money will not reach to the banks. However, if let's suppose currency ratio is low, that means people are holding less of currency and more of deposits in the banks. More of deposits in the banks means what? Bank will be getting more money, bank will be giving more loans. If more loans are given in the market, that means there will be money supply. So this is how currency ratio can influence our money supply. Question number D of the third question, the last question here. What type of policy is preferable during the time of recession? Now students, recession, what do you mean by recession? Where the sentiments are very negative, right? The businesses are not doing well, the entrepreneurs are leading to losses, people are losing their job, there is unemployment in the market, people are losing out on their savings, banks can become bankrupt, and if there is worse recession happening in the economy, it might also result into recession. So at that time, there are two parties who have to intervene. The one is RBI, the other one is government. RBI makes monetary policy, government makes fiscal policy. So at this time, what RBI has to do, I will tell you that RBI has to reduce the level of interest rates so that more people take loans, more people invest, and there can be a positive mindset. This is called as expansionary monetary policy. And similarly, what government is to do here? At the time of recession, government can reduce the level of taxes so that people have more of disposable income in order to spend in the market. At the same time, government which should do additional level of expenditure. So more of expenditure, that means people will be having higher amount of money and they can spend in the market. Now this is called as expansionary fiscal policy. So expansionary monetary policy and expansionary fiscal policy are the two policies which are to be done by RBI and government respectively in order to regain the confidence in the market and to lead towards market growth. The same answer can be seen here, students. A recession is to be said when economic activity declines. Now what we have to do? So according to the recession, we have to find out the right policy which will increase the demand in the market by RBI as well as the government. The same thing is given here in the theoretical format. You can write that in your own words, no problem at all. Let's go ahead to the next question, students. Question number 4, part A. Question number 4A, which is from chapter number 3, distinguish between the Cambridge and the classical version of the quantity theory of money. Now this is very simple, students. You just need to know the theories of money. Just write down these two theories. No need of giving any comparative analysis also. Right? You have to just write it side by side. One paragraph for this one, the another paragraph of the classical one, and it will be taken care of. Right? See this. The demand for money was primarily determined. You need to conduct the transactions. Now who gave this theory? So this was given by Professor Irving Fisher, right? And according to him, it is nothing but MV is equal to PT, Fisher's version. And when we talk about the Cambridge theory, it was nothing but MD is equal to KPY. So MD is equal to KPY, that is never demand for money will be proportion of your nominal income that you have to keep it. And according to the Fisher version, MV is equal to PT, that is money velocity will be equal to price transaction. That is it, simple, right? Next part, what is meant by crowding out? Now crowding out is part of chapter number 2. If you remember, we have studied something called as public finance. In that we have fiscal policy. Now in fiscal policy case, remember one thing, whatever you do, there will be some limitations. Crowding out is one of the main reasons or one of the main limitation of fiscal policy. What does it mean? It simply means when government goes on injecting more and more money in the economy, the private sector will lose out on its business, and if they make losses, that is called as crowding out. Now just have a look at it. Crowding out is nothing but rapid growth of government spending leads to a transfer of scarce productive resources from private sector to public sector. So private sector are clearly at a loss, because of which it is crowding out. So increase in the government spending during recession will crowd out the private spending in an economy and lead to reduction in the economy's ability to self-correct from recession, and possibly also reduce the level of economics prospects for the long run economic growth. Next one, students. Question number 4, part C. How appreciation and depreciation of the currency affect real economy? Well, do you know what is currency determination? It is, let's suppose $1 is equal to 75 rupees. Now this can go up, this can go down. Now if it is $1 is equal to 80 rupees, $1 is equal to 70 rupees. If it is 80 rupees, it is called as depreciation of currency. And if it becomes 70 rupees, that means our rupee has appreciated. So appreciation as well as depreciation will have its own pros and cons. The pros can be, let's suppose for depreciation, exports will increase, imports will reduce, people will buy more of domestic product as compared to foreign products. In case of appreciation, imports will expand, inflation will come down, exports will reduce, so consumer will have more choices to buy in the market. So both the things are having effects in the economy. Let's have a look at it. Currency appreciation, that is $1 is equal to 70 rupees, will raise the price of the exports and it will decrease the level of exports as I mentioned. It will increase the level of imports, adversely affect the competitiveness in the domestic industry, and it can also cause the larger deficits. Depreciation, that is $1 is equal to 80 rupees. It will increase the price of foreign goods in the market in the home country and divert the spending from foreign goods to domestic goods because of the inflation in the economy. When a currency depreciates, production for exports and of import substitutes are more profitable. Therefore, factors of production will be induced to move into the tradable sectors and out of the non-tradable goods sector. The reverse will occur when the currency appreciates. These type of resources movements involve economic wastes also. So neither appreciation nor depreciation for too long is highly appreciated in the economy. You know, we need to strike a balance where we are working on a more balanced, platform where the currency gains stability, right? So that yes, there might be appreciation and depreciation, but it should not be too much of wavering, the changes should not be very high. It should be nominal change. Next one, last question in question number 4. How do trade policy influence the international trade? This is part of unit number 2 actually, instruments of trade policy. See, government, any government for that matter, will always try to increase their level of exports and will try to reduce their level of imports. Now imagine if everyone in the world is just trying to sell, sell and sell, then who is going to buy? Isn't it? So that creates a problem. So when we are talking about trade policy, we need to think about imports as well as we need to take care about exports. Now see this. Trade policies encompasses all the instruments that the government may use to promote or restrict the imports as well as the exports. Trade policies induces the approach taken by the countries in the trade negotiation while participating multilateral trading system and or while negotiating the bilateral trade agreement. Now multilateral trading system or bilateral trade system can be developed between the WTO members as well as it can happen at regional level like SAARC, then we have NAFTA, like we have European Union and so on. So these countries have obligation to shape their national trade policies. The instruments of policy typically used to restrict imports and to encourage the exports and can be broadly classified into price related measures as such as tariff, that is nothing but taxes, or non-tariff measures, that is non-price measures, which we also call it as quotas, that is nothing but quantitative restrictions. So mentioning this much, I think it will be sufficient for 2 marks. Now let's go ahead to the last question, students, in this paper. Question number 5. What are the characteristics of private goods? Now students, this is part of chapter number 2, wherein we were understanding public goods. So when they have given public goods, at that time also you need to very nicely understand what do you mean by private goods. So characteristics of private goods are very simple. They are rivalrous in nature, they are excludable in nature. You can own and exercise your private property rights. Generally they refrain from free rider problem. Generally they are not affected by externalities and they will be allocating their resources in the most optimal manner. These are nothing but various features. You have to just explain what is private goods and mention the features. The things will be taken care of, right? The same thing can be seen here. Private goods yield utility to the people who buy them. Owners can exercise private property rights. It is rivalrous in nature. Then we have it is excludable and they do not have free rider problem, as I have mentioned already. Next one, domestic industries and consumers are affected by import quota. Yes, they are. How? See, what do you mean by import quota? Import quota is nothing but quantitative restrictions on the number of goods that you can import from other countries. Now, if you are a trader or a consumer, definitely it is going to influence your particular, consumption pattern or investment pattern. Because if you cannot import from other countries of the world, how you are going to sell it in the market or you are going to consume that product. So the limited consumption will be seen in case of import quotas. Let's have a look at it, students. Import quota. With a quota, the government of course receives no revenue. The profit received by the holders of such import licenses are known as quota rents. These quota rents are to be purchased from government. So they do not have any tax liability then. They have to, import only up to the level of permission that they have given by the government. While tariff directly intervene or interfere with the prices, however, quota interference with the market prices indirectly. Import quota always raises the domestic prices. The license holder are able to buy, import and sell them at a higher price because of the scarcity, and they are also able to earn a rent on the above operations above the profit that would have made in a free market. So that's about quota. Let's have a look at the next one, students. It is nothing but the money multiplier part. So what determine the size of the money multiplier? This is part of again investment multiplier and combination of money multiplier. Very simple. You have to just mention what is money multiplier, right, which we have done here. Mention the formula money multiplier. It is nothing but 1 divided by R. Okay. And you can try to put a numerical example here which will fetch you full marks. So this question is ideally for 2 marks or 3 marks, whatever. Now the last question. Question number 5D. In the theory of international trade, what is meant by factor endowment and what do you mean by narrow money? Now, first of all, what is factor endowment? It is nothing but overall availability of usable resources, including natural as well as man-made, that is nothing but land as well as capital means of production. When we are talking about exposition of the modern theory, only the two utmost important theory, labor and capital, are taken into consideration. This particular thesis was given by whom? So it was given by Heckscher and Ohlin. This is part of chapter number 4, unit number 1, theories of international trade. So Heckscher and Ohlin theory of trade states that comparative advantage in the cost of production exclusively by the differences in the factor endowment of the nation, which simply means, if let's suppose there are two countries, India and Germany, if India is having more of labor and less of capital, Germany is having more of capital and less of labor, then they must enter into exchange program. Whatever is surplus, they should export. Whatever is scarcity, they should import. That is how there will be equilibrium in factor prices amongst these two countries. This thesis was given by Heckscher and Ohlin, which we call it as factor endowment. And last one, students, M1, which is nothing but narrow money. This was the first system which was developed by RBI in order to calculate the money supply in the economy. Now, when we are talking about money supply calculation in the economy, it is defined as sum of currency held by the public plus the deposits of the bank, which is nothing but the demand deposits. When we talk about demand deposits, so it is nothing but saving account deposits and current account deposits, CASA deposits, current account, saving account deposits, and other deposits with the RBI. Banks include commercial as well as the cooperative banks. You can also mention the formula here, students, right into the formula format, which we have seen already while calculating narrow money in the same way. So I hope whatever we have discussed in this entire paper, it was helpful for you, right? And with that thought process, keep your studies very nicely, students. Keep studying. It is very important for you to clear this examination, right? And may God bless you, achieve all your dreams. With that, this is Chirag sir signing off. God bless you all. All the very best. Jai Hind, Jai Economics. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.